age of ancients, the world was a place of unmitigated neutrality. A bleak yet peaceful place, beset by arch trees and populated by everlasting dragons. There was no light nor dark, no life, no death, no good and no evil. It had always been this way. Never had the world's state of perfect still been threatened. That is, until there was fire. Out of the nothingness below the earth, a great flame ignited, and with the advent of this fire came the birth of disparity. Disparity brought light into existence, which in turn created darkness. The first people were born of this darkness, marking the dawn of life, which brought with it death. Out of the flames came souls. The first people found these souls, and with them found actualization. The souls gave them form and individuality. They gained knowledge, crafted language, and discovered talents. There was one man whose knowledge of the first flame granted him a great following. His name was Lloyd, and he dedicated his life to studying the first flame. He tried to puzzle out the mystery of why it came to be, and how it was capable of such wonders. Lloyd taught the people of the first flame's power, and through his teachings, the first people realized the immense power of the fire, and so revered it. The fire is a truly sacred thing. We owe our very selves to its flame. It must be respected, above all else. Lloyd's influence and knowledge of something so sacred led the first people to view him as a holy figure, calling him All-Father and holding him in the highest of regards. One of the flame's secrets, however, he kept to himself. Lloyd discovered the existence of a few unique souls within the flame's center that astounded him. These were the Lord souls, and he knew they were not meant for consumption, but were the very essence of the disparity that gave birth to the light of the world and the life within all people. To deter his followers from tampering with such colossal power, he ordered a great kiln to be built around the flame to shelter it. This kiln became a place of worship, and the people's reverence for the flame ensured that they would not defile it, thus keeping the Lord souls a secret. This kiln would be known as the Kiln of the First Flame. The first people spent a generation living beneath the earth, for fear of the massive dragons above. The people feared what they did not understand, and those few who did attempt to venture to the land above had not the courage to walk amongst the monstrous beasts. For this reason, the people created societies below ground where they would be safe, coddled by the warmth of the first flame. Time passed, children were born. A new generation of people came to be, and with them came change. All-Father Lloyd's nephew Gwyn was an ambitious youth who spent long hours with his uncle, learning about the first flame and posing hard questions about its nature and the nature of souls. But what of the flame's true nature, Uncle? What is the cause of disparity? Why does it exist? Gwyn also harbored a personal disdain for the dragons above. His father had been one of those brave enough to explore the land above, and when he never returned, Gwyn assumed he had fallen to the beasts. As Gwyn aged, his fascination with the first flame grew to such a degree that he forsook reverence for understanding. He was possessed by his desire to know the truth of the flame and how it created disparity. Gwyn gathered his friends, Nito and Izalith, and together they planned to infiltrate the kiln of the first flame.
I know you seek answers too, friends. My uncle is keeping something from us, something significant about where the flame draws its power. We will go tonight when the kiln is unguarded. We will step into the flame and see its true power for ourselves.
The three of them entered the kiln, and against precepts, walked through the fire. At the center of the flame, where it burned brightest, they found them. The Lord Souls. 3 brilliant souls of dazzling radiance, the like of nothing that had ever been seen before. Gwyn claimed for himself the Lord Soul of Light, Izalith that of life, and Nito, the Lord Soul of Death. These souls transformed their flesh, giving them likenesses befitting of lords, and incredible powers that drew from the essence of disparity. In their shock and awe at their new power, the lords were unaware that they had been followed. The furtive pygmy, a lowly beggar and outcast from society, had overheard Gwyn's plan, and in the hope of finding such power for himself, followed him to the kiln. He waited for the 3 lords to leave the kiln and searched the flame for himself. Within, he found what they had overlooked. He found a small, unassuming soul, burning softly in the midst of the wild flames. This was the Dark Soul. The pygmy cherished his prize and spent his days nurturing this unique soul, hoping it would one day grow and grant him the awesome power he desired. Gwyn, Izalith, and Nito quickly came to rule the first people. The lords towered over their brethren and possessed far too much power to be contested. Lloyd was dismayed that the Lord Souls had been discovered. He had always knew a day would come when the first flame's ultimate secret would be uncovered, and he chastised himself for failing to predict his nephew's blasphemy.
Nephew, have you no regard for the precepts? You could not keep the flame's secrets forever, uncle. We must not be afraid of power.
Your decision was foolish, but there is no changing the past. You possess a power greater than any. Allow me to at least assist you in your rule. Let me stand by your side and offer guidance, as I always have. There was naught he could do now but attempt to guide Gwyn in the use of his new power, and so he became the Lord's right-hand advisor. As time went on, the Lord's power intensified, and with such power came the desire to rule over more than just the shambles underground. Gwyn, Nito, and Izalith planned an attack on the ancient dragons, to take the land above for their own rule and destroy their greatest threat.
We shall destroy the dragons. We now possess a power akin to theirs, and we shall use it to avenge my father and take the land above for ourselves.
Gwyn amassed a great following of loyal knights among the first people, outfitted in menacing armor and armed with mighty weapons, forged from the fires of the first flame itself. The bravest of these knights acted as scouts, following orders from Lord Gwyn to cautiously search the Earth's surface for any sort of weakness the dragons might have. One dragon in particular caught wind of the knight's errand and was keen to offer assistance. Seethe the Scaleless was a deformed disgrace to dragonkind. He was born without the gift of scales that granted the dragons insulation from death, and so felt painfully inferior. This had bred a deadly envy within Seethe, and he now saw his chance to make every dragon as he was. Seethe took the knights aside and told them that lightning could destroy the scales of the dragons.
Lightning? Naught else can pierce those dragon scales. If thine has such a power, then thou shalt have victory.
With this knowledge, Gwyn led the charge to end the reign of the mighty dragons. With the power of his Lord Soul, Gwyn summoned spears of sunlight and hurled them at the dragons, blasting off their scales. Izalith and her children, the daughters of Chaos, weaved great firestorms with the sorceries granted to them by the Lord Soul of Life. Nito, harnessing the power of death itself, unleashed a miasma of rotting disease that covered the land and left no dragon alive. When the dust settled, Gwyn's army had emerged the victor, with a massive heap of dragon corpses to show for his greatness. This victory ushered in a new era, the Age of Fire, named so in honor of the first flame.